Welcome to Radio Nowhere Meets. Steve Wynn is here with us. I'm here with Giacomo. Welcome back to Radio Nowhere, Steve.
Nice to be back with you guys again.
Go, Jack, with the first question.
Okay, thank you, Raffo. Steve, the last time we spoke, you were just about to embark on your tour in Italy with Chris Kakavas, and we even talked about possibly meeting up in Rome. How did the concerts go?
It was great. It was really fun tour. A lot of people came out, which is always makes things extra fun. And it was also the first time I'd been with Chris Kakavas in 5 years. We hadn't hung out or even toured or recorded together. And Chris is one of my oldest friends, so it was a great chance to catch up with him off stage and on stage, and do our thing together. So just fantastic.
We have great news. We have your new solo album. It is gonna be released at the beginning of September. It's the first solo album in more than 10 years. And then your autobiography, I wouldn't say if it wasn't true. Let's talk first about the album. Do you want to tell us which musicians plays in that record and how your songwriting change when you have different musicians in the song and not the same band as it happens when you work with Dream Syndicate or Baseball Project?
Written and recorded over a 5 year period while I was writing the book. There are different things done in different cities, different collaborators. I worked in Norway with a really great songwriter named Emil Nikolaisen, who plays in Serena Manish, and he and I have written together before. I worked in Spain with the legendary Paco Loco, who is like one of the great names of the Spanish music scene, and he and I worked together as well. But we did a new song for this, and then I worked in the States, with a lot of the regular bunch like Linda Pittman and Mike Mills and Scott McCoy and Stephen McCarthy. So it was a real mixed bag of collaborators on this record. Oh, and a couple of songs I did in California with maybe my favorite band right now, Psychic Temple, and they're a great California band whose new record is fantastic. And I did a couple songs of a collaboration between the members of the Dream Syndicate and members of Psychic Temple all in the studio together. So as you can tell, the record has different sources, but the one thing that holds it all together is that it was all written and recorded while I was doing the book. So it's kind of a companion piece.
Yes, and about the book in which you wrote your autobiography, the new record opens with a song titled Santa Monica. That is the city in which you were born and grew. And then the last song of the album is called Roosevelt Avenue. That it's the if I'm not mistaken, it's the main street of Queens where you live now. It seems
Yes.
it has something to do with the autobiography.
Oh, sure. That was intentional. The idea, like, well, the book covers 30 years of my life, 28 years of my life, from the time I was born to the breakup of the Dream Syndicate. So it's kind of a span. And the record's the same way. The record starts, yes, with where I was born and ends with where I live. And it kind of is meant to, I can't say everything in a 40-minute record that I could in a 250-page book, let alone a entire life. But it does have some of the same themes in between. Well, I'm born, and then a lot of things happen. Here's how I feel about it. And then I'm here now, and look at the great time I'm having. That's a little bit what you get in 40 minutes of the record.
Okay, Steve, right now it's summer, and I'm so curious about knowing what are you listening during this summer, and if there are some Italian artists that you particularly admire.
Good question. Well, listening to, and it's funny. I listen to so much music, and then when somebody asks me this question, I always go blank. It's so funny. I should have a list in front of me all the time because I'm always listening to new things and old things. Like I said, the new Psychic Temple record is just beautiful. I love that record. I'm always listening to Chris Forsyth, guitarist from Philadelphia, and he has a new band called Basic that I like quite a bit right now. And I listen to so many different things. I heard the the first, two singles off the Billie Eilish record, and they were my favorite songs for a while. That song "Lunch" is incredible, and at the same time, probably my favorite song right now is the first single from the Nick Cave album, "Wild God." So I'm listening to the mainstream underground, and the way underground at the same time, and it all somehow, I'm game for anything good. As far as Italian bands, right now there are really none on my radar besides, I'm always aware of what my friends are doing, and that, like the whole after hours spin-off gang like Calibro 35 and the Winstons and bands like that. I'm always curious because they're my friends, but I have not been turned on to any new bands, and that's on me. I should do more research. Maybe on tour people tell me about stuff.
I think that now we can listen to a song from the new album. Before going on with the interview, I think we can start with the second single that anticipates the album. That is "Make It Good on My Promises."
We have just listened Making Good on My Promises. Here we are with Steve Wynn and Raffo. So let's talk about your autobiography, Steve. And when did the idea of writing an autobiography came about?
Well, about 10 years ago, actually. It's been a while now. A magazine called The New Yorker, pretty well known here. A writer from there was doing a story about the reissue of Loaded by the Velvet Underground. And he wrote to me and said, "Hey, can you give me a couple quotes from my article? A couple quotes," because I guess he knows that my music has been linked with the Velvet Underground. I said, "Sure." Well, rather than 2 sentences that he wanted, I gave him 2 full pages, and he really liked it. And he wrote to me and he said, "Hey, your writing is good. You should write a book. I'd like to hook you up with my agent, who specializes in memoirs." So, okay, why not? So I met with his agent, who was a big, powerful, Midtown Manhattan, Times Square agent in a big building, and he said, "Yeah, if you give me 2 chapters, I can shop your book around." I thought, "Oh, okay." Well, I was busy back then with the Dream Syndicate and the Baseball Project and all the other things I was doing, and I just didn't write those chapters for about 2 or 3 years. Like, oh, I got to do that. I got to do that. And finally, I wrote 2 chapters that are in the book, one about touring with U2 and one about meeting Alex Chilton. And I finally wrote them, and I went to his office, and he said, "Oh, you're a little too late. I'm not doing memoirs anymore." Oh, shoot. But anyway, I thought, well, okay, now I know what it feels like to start a book. And in my mind, I thought, okay, someday I'm going to finish this. I've got these 2 chapters. But, again, busy, touring, records, living life. Books are hard. Then all of a sudden, we know what happened. The pandemic, 2020 happens. And all of a sudden, I'm not touring, I'm not recording, I'm not doing anything. And I'm home and I say, okay, let's write the book now. And I was amazed because I started the book in, like I say, early 2020, and it came so easily and quickly. It was really a natural progress. Writing it was pleasurable, fun, fast, and before I knew it, I had a book. And then before you know it, it was out. It was great. All these years I waited to do this, and I was psyching myself out, and I didn't need to.
Since the 10 years since you had this proposal, this idea of write this book, you publish a lot of record in the last 10 years, especially with Dream Syndicate, but also with Baseball Project. Is there what is the difference between writing song and writing a book?
It takes less time. You can write a good song in 10 minutes, and I have many times when the mood is right. The title track of the new album, "Make It Right," I wrote that in 10 minutes. "When You Smile" was one of the fastest songs I ever wrote. Certain things like that, when it's there, you can't write a book in 10 minutes, no matter how fast you type. So it's more work. And the other thing is, when I write a song and record a song, I'm always editing. I'm always fixing this word or that word or changing this verse. And that's part of the fun of it. But it's a pretty simple process. Editing a book is really, really hard, I found out, because it's long, and you will read it 100 times, and on the 101st, you'll see something you never saw before. And then you give it to 20 friends to read, and they all have things to say. And the 21st friend find something they didn't find. So, and it really is it takes a lot of work to get the book where you want it, but it was a fun process and something. And once I knew I had a publisher, Jawbone Press in the UK, once I knew had them excited about the book, then I said, okay, now I've really got to
Yes.
make this count.
We also have some news for the Italian fans that are waiting for this book. You told us before we started the interview. Tell the good news about the book to the Italian fans.
Yeah, and this is great news, and I think this is the first time I'm announcing this, and that is the book has been licensed in Italy by Jimenez Edizione, the company of Gianluca Testani, an old friend of mine, and they're releasing the book in January, translated for the Italian market, and I'm so excited about that. And I know it's going to be a really good translation. It's going to, be wonderful, and the fans there can, enjoy it. And then I'm going to be on tour in March or April. I should have looked this up, but I'm going to be on tour there for 2 weeks, presenting the book. Okay, the book in Italian. I won't be presenting it in Italian, but there will be special treats and plans for the Italian tour.
And this time we can't tell much, but you are gonna play with a band.
A small acoustic combo, and it'll be all local musicians over there, and it'll be a fun mixture of concert and book reading a little bit, and storytelling. So it'll be really fun.
So we can read the book in English. The book is gonna be published at the end of August, at the beginning of the September, right?
In English, it comes out August 30th, and it's already shipping, I believe. And then it comes out in Italy in January. And it's funny because, of course, I wanted to let everybody know about the book before it came out because I want people to have it. But I think that realistically, it hasn't sold that much in Italy in English because people were hoping to find an easier to read version of it. And if my favorite musician releases a book entirely in German, I can say, well, I wouldn't mind having it, but I don't know what to do with it. So I'd wait for the translation. So hopefully the fans over there will get it when it comes out and enjoy it, and then come see the show.
Yes, so we're gonna do this show in which you not are gonna simply play, but you are gonna tell us some stories about the book between the songs, right? Can you tell us a little story before the book is gonna be published?
Well, I'll tell you, the book has obviously a lot of stories, a lot of really really good ones, and one particular section I like. I think it's kind of the main point of the book, the main centerpiece of the book, and I'll talk about in the show, was making Medicine Show, and the record. We missed. Days of Wine and Roses was made really in one day, one evening, and I talk about the process, but there's not much to say about it. I mean, of course, I talk about it in the book, but it's one night. Medicine Show took 5 months, and I don't talk about it that much. And in the book, I really wrote about it in detail, what it was like to be 23 years old and not even really knowing still how these things work, being in the studio, and suddenly finding a record you thought would take maybe 1 month is taking 5 months, and what that felt like. And in the book, I talk a lot about, it's almost like the 5 stages of death, with denial and acceptance, and or I forget all the different ones. I used to know that, but they talk about that. Well, recording that record was the same way. With that whole process was, I went through all the stages of grief. That's what, not of death, of grief. Talking about resistance to the book, to the process, and anger, and finally understanding what we were doing. This will be it's a fun part of the fun part, but it's a important part of the book, and I think that'll be a lot of the show too.
And after all this months of work on a Medicine Show, you were satisfied by the production?
I really was. I the thing about Medicine Show is, and by the way, Medicine Show is going to be reissued next summer in a box set with a lot of interesting reading and unreleased tracks as well for that one. So that's going to be really cool. I was happy with the production. It's funny with that record. I really like it, and I think that not only it sounds unlike anything I ever did before or since, it also sounds unlike any record I know. I hear that record, and if someone said, "Well, what does Medicine Show remind you of?" I was like, I wouldn't even know what to say. I hear even elements of what Nick Cave did, for example, after made that record. Not that I'm saying he was listening to us and being influenced by it, but there's certain kind of a dark, powerful, narrative, dramatic thing about that record that I really like. So at the end of the day, it's not the record I thought we were going to make, but it's a record I really, really grew to like.
Wow, yes. Thank you, Steve, for this interview. And now um, we can close this interview and listening to the first single and the title track of the new album that is going to be released in a few days, in a few weeks. That's called, it's a ballad. It's called Make It Right. Do you like this song, Giacomo?
Very much.
Ah, you're not just saying that. I'm glad to hear you say that. Well, thank you very much. I do like it. I'm very happy with it. It's a beautiful song, and it's
I'm
recorded with. Oh yeah, go ahead.
no, sorry. Go on.
Oh, I was gonna say it's recorded with a very familiar bunch of people, with Linda Pittman and Scott McCoy from the Baseball Project, and Stephen McCarthy from the Long Riders, and Josh Cantor, who's a keyboard player in Boston. So it's a cool little band on the track.
Wow, thank you, Steve, for this interview, and let's see in a few months in Italy.
Okay, I'm looking forward to it. I think it's gonna really knock your socks off. It's gonna be really something.